Okay. Am I live? Is this thing working? How does... Every time I'm surprised by streaming. How many people we got? One. Ah, yeah, it's going to be an intimate stream. That's what this is going to be. Well, let's see. If you're in chat, say hello. Would be much appreciated. So I'm not just yapping into thin air. Let's see. Let's do a recap over the past little while. Oh, okay. Weekly streams working on the Discord. Hey, Plus, how's it going? I had a weird glitch with my webcam. My webcam decided that it was only going to operate at 5 frames per second, which is, you know, more like a rapid slideshow than anything else. In the meantime, I have no idea if other people are going to show up, but that's fine. I use this time to work on projects, and I'm looking forward to finally setting up the NAS. Maybe, probably, hopefully this time. This time Debian 13 is out. I think we're just going to start over. I don't... Actually, no, we set it to Trixie, no? Last time we were on this, we set it to Trixie, not to testing. So I could just apt update. Not too much difference, I think. As for Home Assistant stuff, which is what we were up to last week, I have successfully set up many more lights, which I'm very happy about. You can see we've got the bedroom, the living room, and the office all sort of hooked up. I was messing around with the Apple TV, the 4K Apple TV that I've got hooked up to the TV, obviously. And it messed with CEC, I think, for like the AVR and stuff. So I was just like, I'm leaving that sort of off for now. But at least we've got lights. The lights... Siri doesn't understand orange, which is interesting. Whenever you ask Siri to make something orange, it makes it green. And it also doesn't understand asking for things in what is it? Is K Kelvin? I think so. It doesn't really comprehend that. So it's a time. It's a time. Anyways, let's see. Let's pop this over to the first and start to take stock of where we're at. Should just stay the same. Yeah, okay. We'll boot it up, see where it's at. Hopefully I didn't name the host anything ridiculous. I've got the usual setup. I am working on overhead cam. So I've got this old camera. Let's switch to my face. I've got this old camera from one time when I thought I was going to do photography and then promptly didn't. And I figured this might make a really nice overhead cam. So I've got like a boom arm coming in the way, and I'm thinking something like this hanging over the top so that I can sort of show off the desk space, or maybe over on the right. And that way we can take a look at, like, when I'm playing around with the setup or things like that, we can actually follow along a little bit easier. Because, for example, today, before we get anything working, I'm just going to be working with this little HDMI screen, and it's really difficult to show viewers what's going on with all that, you know? So it's kind of where I'm heading. Hopefully this also lets me do a little bit of like smartphone related content. So if I want to look at how I dumbify my phone and things like that, that'll be all done through the overhead cam. I do need a longer Ethernet cable though. sure where I put those. Somewhere? Unlucky. Okay. I have one that I have to return to Amazon, and we're just going to use that for now. Okay. In the meantime, how's everybody doing? How have you been? Any interesting projects going? Holy crap, 10 concurrent viewers. Wow. Hi, everybody. It's always surprising to me how much the stream is sort of catching on. Okay. So, I've got this little really wickedly fast. I think this is Cat 8. I went like super overkill on Amazon for some reason. I don't know why. We're going to use this. I will be returning it. Hello, hello. How's it going? If you're new to chat, if I haven't spoken to you before, feel free to let me know a little bit about yourself, how you caught wind of the channel, all of that sort of stuff. Not bad, not bad. Same here. It's been a long day. First time. How'd you find the channel? Which of my videos? Or is like word of mouth starting? Are people like recommending my channel? That'd be cool. I'm a mobile dev. Oh, cool. Just recommendation. Recommendation for the stream or recommendation for like a previous video? YouTube. Cool. I'm just doing some setup. This is, freaking heavy. This is the NAS we'll be working with today. It's from Owstar. What is the stream about? Today we're going to be working on building up a NAS from scratch, network attached storage. The goal, basically over the last couple of weeks, we've been building up a home lab. It is a heavy boy. We've been building up this home lab. So let me pop over here. There we go. And so over here on the right, I'm now hosting Home Assistant, which has been awesome. If I do this one, we've been doing a lot of stuff through Proxmox. So for example, Home Assistant is hosted on this i7 mini PC, and sort of building towards that. I want to host Jellyfin. We're doing some Kubernetes stuff because I wanted to learn some Kubernetes. So you can see we've got our K3s head node and worker node. They're not currently live, but they will be eventually. Do we have a GUI for it? I am gonna go headless for now. So I am aware of things like TrueNAS scale, which is pretty cool. But I wanted to build this from scratch because I'm also studying for my Linux Foundation Certified Systems Administrator something or other. And I figured building a NAS from scratch, learning about NFS, some Samba, that kind of thing, this would be fun to do live and to learn as we go. So building it from scratch using Debian, because Debian's been kind of my OS, my distro of choice for all things home lab. This machine that I'm streaming from is Arch Linux with Omarchy. By the way, if you're looking for your next distro or desktop environment, Omarchy on Arch Linux is absolutely fantastic. It's a little embarrassing that we're advertising Grok on this, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, that's pretty much the tale for today's stream. Hoping to get up this Debian-based NAS from scratch. We'll see how far we get. We document everything over here. DB. We document all our stuff in Markdown, which is super fun. And yeah, we are going to start the NAS. That's where we're headed next. So currently have. Next step is NAS, so I'm going to turn that into a page, and we're going to go Debian-NAS dot empty. We're going to do it like that. Cool. And let's see where we get. So I'm just going to push this over. Currently, we have, I like to do this documentation process for myself, but also just in case eventually I want to share these notes maybe on my website or something like that. Could be kind of cool, maybe on GitHub. One moment. I just want to grab this and put it on my other screen. Oh boy. Pop out dashboard. Yeah, there we go. I'm learning how to stream. We're getting there. Okay, currently we have N100 4-bay NAS device with Debian 13 installed, but prior to Debian's official, or Debian 13, let's call it by its code name. I feel like that's a cool way to do it. Prior to Debian Trixie's official release. And so we're going to introduce you guys to that machine if you weren't here. I think that was my first stream, was with this box over here. So the sooner we can get SSH'd into that and I don't have to use the cam link for it, the better. But I did forget its IP address. So we're going to have to do some of that. I think some of it's going to happen off screen while I just talk to you guys. But yeah. Who else is here? How's everybody doing? How's your Thursday? Okay. I'm on vacation. Hey! And the resort's Wi-Fi kind of sucks. Don't mind if I react to things you said minutes ago. No problem at all, man. Good for you. How's vacation so far? For those of you new to the stream, I've been bailed out of not knowing how Linux works so many times, thanks to Plus. If Tim Rambo is in the stream as well, that guy has been incredibly helpful on the Discord end of things as well, and sharing some really cool projects. They have become kind of regulars. I like to give shout outs to regulars. Kind of fun. All right, I'm plugged in. So the NAS is now powering up, and I'm going to see if we can speedrun getting to SSH, because that would be a lot nicer than plugging in the cam link and configuring that on OBS and all of that stuff. It's great here, just a rainy day at the lake. Watch the Meg with the kids instead. Curious if you're swimming now. I love those cheesy monster movies, man. There's just like, there's a charm to them. I'm a huge Sharknado fan. I want to get them in Blu-ray and put them on this NAS for Jellyfin. I think that would be super fun. Okay, so for those of you currently watching, I don't know why I would say that. Like, who else is there to address? For those of you currently watching, as opposed to for those of you who aren't, who will never hear this, I'm not getting any display yet. So the NAS is booting up, but I'm not seeing anything. What else have I been up to lately? Yeah, I'm gradually nudging them towards real kaiju movies. Very cool. That'll be fun. What have I been up to lately? Omarchi 2.0 has come out, which is kind of interesting. Just trying to fill the air while we wait for this to get going. Why are we not getting any output to the screen? Let's see. I'm going to need to plug a keyboard into this and see where that takes us, which means I won't have a keyboard for my main machine. I need an additional keyboard. For those of you new here, yes, this is how I actually operate. Ah, okay, the screen. So this is an interesting trick. This happened to us last time. If you don't plug in a display, for some reason, if you don't plug in a keyboard, for some reason the display doesn't activate. Absolutely bonkers. I'm not sure why that works the way that works. But we are getting login. Or I'm getting the login prompt, and we're in. I say that like I'm a hacker, but I just logged into my own device. And I'm grabbing the IP, and we should just be able to SSH into this now. So let's see. I'm just going to... I want to keep... Oh, right. The keyboard's not plugged into my machine. Boom. Okay. So we're back over here. I want to pop open some tmux action. tmux. Do we have a session? No. tmux new session. And this is going to be NAS. Excuse me? No server running. What the heck's going on with this? Oh, I think I need to do... Is it -S? Ha, there we go. I know how tmux works. So... There we go. And then I'm going to create another one for my DB. Or, no, I'll just keep it in a window. tmux A-A-T. And we called it NAS. tmux-A NAS. Come on now. How am I forgetting how tmux works live? I do this every day. Oh, come on. Come on. How is this happening live? Anyways, I swear, no matter what you're up to, if you're doing it live, it becomes harder. Whatever. We're going to SSH, and we'll take it from there. I have a tiling window manager for a reason, and I'll remember that at a later date. Let's go Nathan at 10.88.111.29. Yes. Okay. So, no cam link required. We can actually take this from here. So, for those of you who weren't here last time around, we got this thing set up on Debian Trixie while it was still testing, while Trixie was testing. So I'm going to take a quick look. Do I have sudo access? At the sources, just in case. I'll change my password at a different time. Nathan is not in the sudoers file. Okay. And I can't do a sudo su because I'm not in sudoers file. I didn't set up my user this way. That's frustrating. Can I SSH as root, or do I not have root set up yet? I'm probably going to get denied. Yeah. Okay. Got to do a quick adjustment. Su dash and root password. Can I do... Oh, really? All right, let's try that. I figured I wouldn't be able to do that. Huh. Nice save. I figured I would need sudo to be able to change users into the root user. I guess not. We learn something new every day. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for the viewers. So we need to add me to the sudoers file. What is it? This? Okay, I'm not using nano. Exit. Wait, nope. Exit. No. Clear. Okay. I think I need to set editor. What's the variable for that? Set. We're Googling. Linux set editor to vim. I forget what that variable is. No. Editor. There we go. Export. Edit. I have to do that from... It's bash. Usually there's a sudoers group pre-configured. Oh, I need to add me to wheel or something, right? Export. Editor equals vim. Cool. Usually there's a sudoers group pre-configured. Adding Nathan to this group should do it. So I probably don't need to do it through here. Allow members of group sudo to execute any command. What a random stream YouTube showed me. Maybe it's because I happen to have a Debian-based NAS with ZFS. Ah, that'd do it, wouldn't it? How's it going? Welcome, welcome. If it's your first time, feel free to let me know a little bit about yourself, how you're showing up at stream, how you got recommended. I will be fully open, by the way. I am not an expert at all. Let me do this live, this introduction. I am not an expert. I've been playing with Linux throughout my undergrad and my master's, as a, let's call it a casual enthusiast. I am in no ways like a professional systems administrator. I aspire to be, which is why we stream, but I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to Google things. I may poke at Claude at some point. There's a lot of I like to warn people. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's kind of the fun, but just as a heads up, you are not here as to watch an expert. A-D, Nathan. As Nathan will be needed as groups only reload per session. Right. Do I need to... That's not uncommented. Okay, so I just need to be added to sudo. All right. So, logged in as root, we're going to do a user mod. Thank you, plus. -A for add, -G for group. That's how I'm going to remember that, to sudo. And then I need to tell it which user. Okay, exit, and then we're going to exit this session, and they're going to SSH in, and then we're going to check a sudo vim. Yes, no Emacs. Nah, I'm a vim guy. I don't partake in the holy wars about vim and Emacs, though. I think Emacs is also really cool, and I expect at one point I will give it a shot. I've tried Doom Emacs in the past, but I was too busy to give it a real good shake. And so I know it's a rabbit hole I'll go down at some point, just because it's really cool. It just seems to me also a really cool thing to look at. You know what I mean? Okay, so we're all set to Trixie. This looks good to me. So we're going to do a sudo apt update and apt upgrade. Yeah. Actually, my master's supervisor, one of my favorite folks, she was so helpful, so supportive of me during my master's, and I was not a good master's student. I was no attention span whatsoever. Huge Emacs fan. Used it every year. But, I lost it on the upgrade. So apt upgrade. And so I've always kind of wanted to take a look just to see what she was seeing about it. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll do a stream about it at one point. 3, 2, 1 for the apt upgrade to fail. It's your user. Yep. Okay, let me just do a quick check of what we learned. I do this thing when when a user doesn't have sudo rights. I check vi sudo instead of simply adding them to the group using user mod. I know that user mod -a-g is the way to go because it's -add-group. And so for Debian, hey Tim, how's it going? For Debian, it's sudo. And I think for Arch, it's wheel. Is that right? Arch Linux sudoers group. I think it... Wait, why am I Googling it when I have it here? Oh, I guess I don't... What config file is that in? Huh. I guess I could grep it. Interesting. Yeah, so it is wheel. And it's in Etsy sudoers. Can I grep through files in Etsy? For every BSD, it's wheel. Oh, I don't even know what this is. Fair enough. Currently, what I'm doing is building a NAS out of just like a raw new Debian 13 install. So that's network attached storage. There's some specific things that we'll need to do to get that going. So actually, let's start talking about some of those things. As for sudoers group and things like that, what I'm talking about is actually man sudo. Sudo is a command that lets you run commands as other users. Most frequently, it's used on Linux distributions to let a user, like me, Nathan, act as the root user, so you can do things like apt update and apt upgrade, right? I can't update my packages as Nathan because they affect the entire machine, but I can as root. And so instead of being logged in as root all the time or giving a user consistent root permissions for everything, you can let them, for a second, behave as root. That's why we use it. I'm doing better now than when I got stung by a bee on Monday. Aw, snap, really? Been healing fast with multivitamin and mineral pills. I get allergic reactions. That sucks. That sucks. One time when I was a kid, I stepped on a hornet's nest and it was awful. I got hit a lot. My dad saved me though. I was like, picked me up and sprinted, but yeah. Network attached storage. That's what a NAS is. So essentially, let's take a second over here. Yeah, it was not great. So this should be fine. This is my NAS, network attached storage. And what that means is in here, this is basically a little PC dedicated to managing a lot of hard drives. So that's the storage part, right? Network attached means from other PCs on my network, I can attach this storage and make use of it. So the reason you would do this is imagine you have, let's say you're at an office and you have like 10 different computers, right? Scaling up to hundreds, obviously. You have 10 different computers, but they all need to make use of similar files. Maybe, I can't think of anything. Maybe video editing. Maybe they're video editors and they need to make use of the same like raw video files. And they're going to cut it up in all sorts of different ways. Instead of putting that in the cloud, or instead of copying those files to every single individual machine, you can access that by attaching the storage through the network. There we go. If I lose my Wi-Fi before we get there, Debian 13 now ships with AppArmor activated. Remember this if you installed and configured Samba, but can't mount it on clients. That's good advice. That's going to be really useful, because I am going to face that and Google it, and because Debian 13 is so new, not remember that, or not find it. Notes from Plus. Debian 13 has AppArmor on by default. What's wrong with TrueNAS? Is this just an exercise for fun? Good question. Absolutely nothing is wrong with TrueNAS. Well, okay. I'm sure people who use TrueNAS have complaints, but I don't have like a fundamental issue with TrueNAS. I'm doing it exactly for fun. It's a long-term goal of mine to study for my Linux Foundation Certified Systems Administrator thing and kind of become a Linux admin. And so I just want to learn how to do all that stuff. So building it from scratch is a good way to learn. The purpose of NAS with ZFS is either that or the person is just paranoid about bit rot and data corruption like me. Exactly. One of my goals with this thing is to store my movie collection on it. I buy physical media because I really like physical media, but I also want backups and to be able to like access them on the road and things like that. So that's what that's for. Okay. This could cause Samba mount issues. Very good. Okay. So currently we have this machine. It's in the process of updating. It's chugging away. And let's start taking a look at the steps. So step 1 is run an apt update and apt upgrade, which is what's running right now. Step 2, figure out how to do NFS stuff. Oh, first we need ZFS. Okay. So let's do that. 2, figure out ZFS stuff. Now, in the past, I've done ZFS boot menu. I made a little install script if you haven't seen it. It was one of my first major YouTube videos. I made this script to install ZFS boot menu on Debian machines. I haven't tried it yet. We could try it, but that might delay things significantly. So we'll see. We're just going to work from here and start looking at ZFS on Debian. How do we get that going? Debian Wiki. Okay, Linux, for those who use Linux kernel, is available from contrib. The form of a dynamic kernel module. What's the S for? System? I'm trying to learn the acronyms. Dynamic kernel module support. Awesome. Okay. There's also deprecated user space implementation facilitating the Fuse framework. We'll demonstrate using ZFS on Linux. Okay. So I'm going to grab this as our notes. ZFS on Debian. Cool. So we'll probably need to go through all of this, which is going to take some installing. If automatic installation of recommends is disabled, it is also necessary to install ZFS DKMS. Okay. Let's take a look at OpenZFS on Linux. This is package ZFS on Linux. Getting started. Debian. Okay, so this hasn't been updated for Trixie, but I would be really surprised if that mattered. Debian Wiki. What are my thoughts on Open Media Vault? Also looks cool. I've installed it one time. And I poked around, and it looked like open source NAS software. That's how I would describe it. It looked functional. It looked like it would do the thing, and that's as far as I got. I unfortunately don't have a lot of experience with that. Looks cool though. It seems closer to just giving you Linux with a GUI than, say, TrueNAS scale. Are you going with a pair of mirrored VDEVs or some RAID Z setup? For this, just a pair of mirrored VDEVs. I've got like 2 drives in here. They're old 4 terabyte drives that I had kicking around. They will need replacing probably soon. So, yeah. They're not great. They're not great, but it'll do. Okay. Sort of just poking through this, trying to get a feel for what we're going to need to do. This page describes how to create Debian packages containing Linux kernel modules. That's what I needed to go here. Okay. So I want to do just a comparison between these instructions and these to make sure that they're sort of somewhat consistent. This is telling us to add backports from Bookworm. I don't think that's correct. This seems outdated. So we're going to update whatever works. I have 12 times 4 terabytes. That's awesome. Okay, so we need the Linux kernel. We need the Linux headers, and I believe that's because we're doing dynamic kernel module support stuff. So we actually need to like rebuild the kernel kind of thing. And then there's this ZFS utils Linux. Ever since I started streaming, I've been saying Z. like I'm not Canadian, and I don't understand what's happening. It's bizarre. Okay, so what's this? Make sure apt sources list contains correct Debian codename backports. So what's up with these backports? The value stable-backports is invalid. What are backports? I'm misunderstanding what that means. You are running Debian stable because you prefer the stable Debian tree. It runs great. There's just one problem. The software is a little bit outdated compared to other distributions. Okay, that's what I thought. So we're pulling in things from testing. Yeah, okay. ZFS just sounds silly. That's why it's actually easier to say. I mean, I guess I'm just used to saying Z, you know, like, so when Z, same thing to me. I guess maybe I've just been watching enough videos, you know, that I'm like saying it like the other people I've seen say it. Okay, so what this means is we're getting ZFS utils. Hey, there we go. We're getting ZFS utils from whatever the backport is for stable, which means Debian 14 in testing. Okay. Okay, cool. I guess you just need more up-to-date stuff for this. And so contains Debian codename backports. So we're saying codename equals this. Cool. And then we're putting this in the list, and then we're doing an update. Main contrib and non-free. I see so many tech creators alternate, especially Canadians. Yeah, that's one of those things about like being Canadian. You pick up on a lot of Americanisms because we're so close. And it's especially frustrating like right now. You know what I mean? So it's weird. Can I just grab Trixie's? Like, why exactly is it telling me I need to grab backports? Let's read. ZFS on Linux is provided in the form of DKMS source for Debian users. It's necessary to add the contrib section to your apt sources configuration to be able to get the packages. Also, it is recommended by Debian ZFS on Linux team to install ZFS related packages from backports archive. Upstream stable patches will be tracked and compatibility is always maintained. Okay, so it seems like a just in case thing. It seems like things may not always be up to date enough, and so we need to grab backports. Okay. Is this related to the ZFS license issues? Yeah, so my understanding, and again, remember, I'm not an expert, right, is that ZFS cannot be included in the Linux kernel because of conflicting licenses. It's like the CDDL for ZFS and GPL for Linux. And so, yeah, they're sadly incompatible open source licenses. Kind of unfortunate. Okay. So we're going to install our Linux headers. Those are already there. Cool. And then we're going to try this. I expect this to fail because we haven't added backports to our sources. Yep. That makes sense. And so I want to go through this line just to see if I understand it properly. So what we're doing is we're setting a variable to this, which should tell us like Trixie or yeah, tells us Trixie. Okay, cool. And then what we're doing is, so after we set that, we echo the thing, we source the code name, so it goes in here, and then we append it to sources list, and then we run an update. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now we should be able to do this. libxt2fst64. Okay. I mean, worst case, we just reinstall. Man, it's funny. I've been streaming for a couple of weeks now. I'm trying to make it a weekly thing. Stream for about 2 hours or something like that on Thursdays. And I didn't expect this, but like the 2 times I've done this NAS stream with this title, I get like an influx of new viewers, and it's super cool. But when I stream like the Kubernetes stuff that I've been working on and the Proxmox stuff, it's just like my sort of usual viewers. And I didn't know so many people were into ZFS. It's really cool. Thoughts on ZFS on root? ZFS on root is awesome. ZFS on root is awesome, which is why a couple of months ago, almost a year ago now, I made a ZFS boot menu installation script because it is kind of hard to get ZFS on root working on Linux. But once you do, it's pretty cool. One of my first videos was on this. Let me see if I can bring it up. This one. You have to go down in. Look how young this guy is. He didn't know. Proxmox, you say? I do say Proxmox. Check this out. So this has been something I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. Just two actually. We set up Proxmox with 2 Kubernetes nodes via K3s. Those are not running yet. I figured let's get Jellyfin running first with the NAS and whatnot. But we also got Home Assistant running on Proxmox, and that's been super cool. I'm not into ZFS because no hardware to use for it. I'm just curious about this technology. Ah, cool. Welcome, welcome. Click subscribe. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, welcome. Okay, how we doing? One of the problems with streaming home lab stuff is sometimes you're just sitting here at, by the way, nice 69% progress bars, and you're just like, I guess I'm going to be entertaining for now. Subscribed. I have no idea what's going on. Well, thank you. You're more than welcome. And don't worry, I barely know what's going on. And that's kind of the vibe we're fostering here, right? So I like to think of the stream as failing publicly together so that we may learn. What's this? Duda says, oh God, you made it. I got to look that up. And when I first tried, I knew nothing and went straight for ZFS on root, almost killed myself trying, and eventually went for regular ZFS. Yeah, it was monstrously difficult. Oh my God, I spent so much time building this freaking script. It was really challenging. But it did teach me some interesting things. So when like the Arch Linux people talk about how difficult it is to install Arch because you have to, you go into your live install media, you set up, you do like a bootstrap, and then you chroot into the thing, all of that stuff. Turns out you can do that with Debian as well. It's a choice, right? It's a choice to install Linux that way. And that was really kind of a cool learning experience. And I learned a lot about how the chroot system works, which came in handy last week when I saved my machine with a chroot. So definitely take a look at this. I'm here. Let me put this on the right side of the screen so that you can all see it. I'm really proud of this. I don't know if it works for Debian 13. Maybe we'll do a stream where I fix it and make sure it works. But it did work for Debian 12, so that's cool. So I also run Proxmox. I'm rebuilding everything in my home lab Saturday, actually. It's going to be a big Saturday, Paul. Good luck. I hope you have fun. I hope not too many things break. TrueNAS VM running Jellyfin and Image. Very cool. I'm really looking forward to getting Jellyfin running once I have something to store that. I'm hoping that by the end of the stream, we have some network-attached storage stuff working. But, yeah, because this is the second attempt at this. I began hearing about the legendary Arch install through the suffering with Debian doing basically the same or even worse, but I will look that up after the stream. You're a legend for it. Thank you. Yeah, These days, hold on. I'm just going to throw this on my face for a little bit. These days, installing Arch is so easy because you just have the Arch installer. Like, okay, so my last video, actually, or no, second last video, this one walks through like the Arch Linux install process
yourself. If you've never
via
done
the
that
Arch
before,
installer, and it's really fast now.
So we can do that
like,
with a pack. If you haven't seen this before, it's really nice.
You install Arch
and
install,
that way we don't have to go.
And then you type Arch install, and it's basically a graphical installation process.
Hey,
Michael, how's it going?
That worked for your region.
So it's nowhere near as difficult as it used to be. And even then, like, if you follow the instructions, it's very accessible, I would say. You just need to sort of like give yourself a solid afternoon or evening to like screw it up once or twice, realize you missed some documentation and all that stuff. Isn't Arch install pre-installed in the ISO? It wasn't for me for some reason, but I look, weird things happen all the time. Maybe my specific version didn't have it. I don't know. You would think though, right? We are still waiting on this progress bar. We will get there. But look, ZFS DKMS is on the way, and we're building it into our kernel, so that's very cool. Omarchy 2.0 is out, by the way. Yeah. I'm super excited about it. The Omarchy 2.0 ISO install. I think I'll make... Shit, I needed that. I think I'll make a video on that. Just a quickie to say, like, it's even easier than it used to be, because now you can just grab the ISO, and that's amazing, right? So I'm really excited about that. I've been really liking this system. Look at this thing go. It's still... Well... Okay, well, in the meantime, let's figure out some NFS stuff. I think Debian Systems Administrator Handbook. Let's grab that. Read online. We can start looking at NFS. Network services. NFS file server. Okay, great. So for those of you who have never seen this, the Debian Administrator's Handbook is awesome. Like, very detailed, super helpful for anything you might want to do as a systems administrator of a Debian system. So that's pretty cool. I reference this fairly frequently. Anyways, we're going to look for NFS and file server stuff. So we're not doing web, we're not doing mail. We're doing NFS, Samba. I don't know much about LDAP. I see it a lot. What the LDAP? Do a quick Google. Lightweight Directory Access Protocol is an open industry standard application protocol for accessing and maintaining distributed directory information services over an IP network. Have I ever used certauth for SSH? I don't think so. I've used, I've handed around keys, but I don't think I've used certauth. Defines the rules for how clients and servers interact, including how requests are encoded and responses are structured. It works with directory services, which are like phone books for a network, holding information about users, devices, and other resources in a structured, hierarchical way. All right, we might explore that down the road. Okay, NFS file server. This is what we want. It's a protocol allowing remote access to a file system through the network. All Unix systems can work with this protocol. Okay. Kerberos for those parts. Okay. Without those, the NFS protocol must be restricted to a trusted local network, since data goes over the network unencrypted, and access rights are granted based on the client's IP address, which can be spoofed. Okay. All right. Well, luckily, I'm pretty much the only one on this network, so we'll have a good time with this. Securing. If you don't use Kerberos-based security features, it is vital to ensure that only the machines allowed to use NFS can connect to the various required RPC servers. Because the basic protocol trusts the data received from the network, firewall must also block IP spoofing so as to prevent an outside machine from acting as an inside one. And access to the appropriate ports must be restricted to the machines meant to access the NFS shares. Okay. The NFS server is part of the Linux kernel. Just going to check on our install. Holy cannoli, it's still going. In kernels provided by Debian, it is built as a kernel module. If the NFS server is to be run automatically on boot, the NFS kernel server package should be installed. It contains the relevant startup scripts. The NFS server configuration files in etc exports and etc exports.d lists the directories that are made available over the network exported. For each NFS share, only the given list of machines is granted access. More fine-grained access control can be obtained with a few options. Okay. The syntax for this file is quite simple. So we've got the directory, machine, option 1, option 2, machine, option, and then similar things. What are my options? Note that with NFS v4, all exported directories must be part of a single hierarchy, and that the root directory of that hierarchy must be exported and identified with the option fsid fsid. Fsid equals 0 or fsid equals root. Okay. Plus says, for NFS, choose your volume mount points wisely, as NFS does not alias exported paths, and mounting means retyping their full path. Okay, good to know. Each machine can be identified either by its DNS name or its IP address. Whole sets of machines can also be specified using either a syntax such as or an IP address range. Okay, so we can do an IP address range for the subnet that my machines are on. That should probably work. Do I have? Now let's have a think, as the British say. Is there anything? Well, let's also take a look at Samba. I think would be interesting. So NFS is like a Unix only protocol from my understanding for these like network attached storage things. Samba is a little bit more compatible in that it works on Windows. So Samba is a suite of tools for handling the SMB protocol, also known as KIFs. KIFs, all right, on Linux. This protocol is used by Windows for network shares and shared printers. Samba can also act as a Windows domain controller. This is an outstanding tool for ensuring seamless integration of Linux servers and the Office desktop machines still running Windows. Still running Windows. That's a good jab. That's a really good jab. Okay. The Samba package contains the main two servers of Samba, Samba4, SMBD, and NumbD. Cool. The requirements at Falco require other options to be modified. Samba conf. So each Samba user needs an account on the server. The Unix accounts must be created first, then the user needs to be registered in Samba's database. The Unix step is done quite normally, using add user. Adding an existing user to the Samba database is a matter of running the symb password -a user command. This command asks for the password interactively. User can be deleted. The client features in Samba allow a Linux machine to access Windows shares and shared printers. The required programs are available in the CIFS utils and SMB client packages. Okay. Cool. Interesting. I tried NFS wishing to get faster data rates than SMB, but apparently it was slower for thousands of tiny files. Does that make sense for y'all? Also, still running Windows hits me straight on. Don't worry, I've got a Windows PC as well. This machine actually dual boots. We don't discriminate against Windows users too much here. It is funny to take jabs though. Okay. Printing on a shared printer, the SMB client, Samba client, adding users. So Samba's interesting. I think we'll try NFS first, and then we will also try Samba. Should be kind of fun. So We've got some advice for NFS. Choose your volume mount points wisely, as NFS does not alias exported paths, and mounting means retyping their full paths. Okay. As for slower for thousands of tiny files, maybe. I don't know how the protocols work, like like under the hood, but yeah. Like sometimes things are optimized for big file transfers or lots of little file transfers, and maybe this is just a case where Samba was better for that. 2 common traps for Samba and Win11 clients. Windows 11 does not support guest/no password Samba. Can be changed. And Windows 11 enforces a stronger auth scheme than Samba has by default. Can be changed on either. I remember running up against that the first time I tried this, like last year off stream. Wow, we are still building. Is this? Yeah. Yep, it's still giving me dots. We're making progress. Okay. So we've got some documentation for NFS and for Samba. Great. So what are our goals for today? Let's say get desktop to mount an NFS share. That's what we're going to try today. We also need set up 2 drives in ZFS mirrored vdev setup. Oops. So that's what we're going to try to do today. These 2 things. We're going to be working on this NAS for a while. This is more work and more difficult than I'd initially expected. But that's okay. That means we're going to learn a lot. What else we got in here? Short remedial course. I don't know. I feel like I could use the remedial course. The more old kernel packages you have still installed, the longer DKMS will take. Builds for each kernel version. Hopefully we don't have too much. I'll reboot the machine after this, and we'll take it from there. I also need a list of all the IP addresses we've got. Like what was this one? We'll find out. So let's open up some ZFS documentation. zpool, create zpool, RAID Z1. Assemble RAID Z1. Notice a 3.91 gigabyte zpool has been created and mounted for us. Okay. Creating and destroying zpools. For zpools with just 2 drives with redundancy, it is recommended to use ZFS in mirror mode, which functions like a RAID 1 mirroring the data. Mirroring can also be used as an alternative to RAID Z setups with surprising results. Okay. Redundant VDEVs. That's our plan. Storage efficiency. I don't really care about all this. What I need is to learn. Yeah, cool. I know that I'm going to be losing 50% of my stuff. That's already in the game plan. I think this is what we'll need. It's been a while since I played with ZFS, so this is going to take a little bit of catching back up. Okay. I remember messing with snapshots. Actually, I can look at my own script for some of this. Why is there a Oh, because I thought I was going to do this with Ansible at some point. Okay, so this is all optimizing the NFS mount option on clients might take some time. There's a lot and the default's already slow minimum. Okay, we'll take some time for that. Should be fun. Install system utils, install ZFS boot menu. Okay, so here in my script, I don't actually set up a zpool. That makes sense. We're done. Okay, it's time. I can stop reading documentation and start breaking things. Woo! Look at that. That's ZFS. Right there. That's what we're talking about. So I need to see what my drives are. Excellent. Excellent. Why do I sound like, what are those guys? Keanu Reeves was in it in like his really early days. Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Adventures or something like that. Okay, so I actually have 4 drives in here aside from the boot drive. That's really cool. Let's experiment with these 2 terabyte drives first. So I know what they're called. Do I have TLDR? Let's do sudo apt install TLDR. I love TLDR as... Oh, it's not on. Is it not on Debian? That's so sad. TLDR ZFS. Nice. ZFS list. ZFS. Create a new ZFS file system. Okay, great. I need a pool first, though. I need to create a new pool. Bill and Ted. There we go. Yep. I think my dad and I watched it together a while back. Good times. So let's see. Zpool. Zpool scrub, import, export, create. Okay, so this is why I love TLDR. If you haven't used TLDR before, it's like a super abbreviated man pages that just tells you like what you need to know for the most common commands. Really quite nice. So we're going to do zpool create. There's a zpool destroy, maybe, probably. Zpool, I'm going to put this on this side so y'all can see. Help. Do we have, let's grep, destroy. Okay, so we do have a destroy. I mean, obviously we have a destroy option. I just wanted to make sure that we can blow up anything we want. So we're going to do let's do this again, zpool create, and let's say 2tb as our name, mirror, disk 1, disk 2, disk 3, disk 4. So this is throwing me off. Oh, is this creating... The pool has 2 separate mirrors? Is that what this does? Sounds like that's what this does. Let's see what happens if I do /dev/sda /dev/sdb. Okay. Cannot create. So I need sudo, and I need a better name. Okay. Let's call this small boy, because it's the smaller of the 2 drive sets. Okay. And now we have small boy. Cool. Excellent. Excellent. I should make that a soundbite for the channel. Okay. So we have a pool. That's a start. Certainly a start. Now what the hell do we do with it? You only need mirror if it's 2 drives mirrored. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we have that. If you wanted a RAID Z2 or something, you'd use that command instead. Okay, interesting. So if you only list 2 drives, it'll turn it into a mirror. There's an alternative option though. You could be pooling them for just like, you know, no redundancy whatsoever. Right? Okay, so we can destroy. We've got our pool. I don't think so. I think it just pulls them in RAID 0. Oh, interesting. Okay. Add content to the Z pool and query compression performance. Fill the Z pool with files. For this example, first enable compression. ZFS uses many compression types. Using a setting of simply on, we'll call the default algorithm, but LZ4 is a nice alternative. Okay. So what's my next step here? Setting compression is nice, but I really... Okay, so we've got the mirror with SDA and SDB. Great. Now let's do a quick introduction to ZFS. How far is this going to take me? Not root. I don't want this. What I want, basic concepts, checksums, RAID Z. I just want to create, I want access to this storage. What the heck do I do next? If you wish to enable encryption or UTF-8 only, you can only do so while creating the pool. Okay, no problem. Okay. It's time. We're asking AI for a little bit of assistance. I'm setting up ZFS on a Debian 13 machine. I've created a pool with 2 drives. What are my next steps to get to storing files? Offhand, are you using OBS with a higher resolution monitor? Yeah, so this is a 4K 240 hertz monitor. Is OBS not picking it up well? Vibe coding a NAS. That's the plan, yeah. Now I don't know what the next steps are, so I'm looking for something to help me out. Datasets. Okay, there we go. Pool name, data. That's what we wanted. ZFS, datasets. It's creating motion blur when you move windows. Oh, okay. Maybe for stream, I'll cap it at 60. Okay. So let's jump back here. Creating and destroying datasets. It was right there staring at me, and I just didn't see it. Cool. Awesome. Love that for me. So ZFS create. Let's move Claude out of the way for later, just in case. And we're going to bring our documentation with us. There we go. Okay. You're all still with me? Example, creating child datasets and using compression. So we know what our Z pool is. We're going to try ZFS create-p-o. What does the -p flag do? ZFS create. Can I do this? -p. Creates all the non-existing parent datasets. Just like mkdir -p. Very cool. ZFS create dash. Oh, you know what? No. Let me stick to what's happening here. Let's turn compression on. And we should just be able to do this. Small boy data. Okay. Cool. CFS list. Cool. That's fun. Now we have a data set. And we list it and it shows up. Okay. Let's just... I keep doing this. Come on now. There we go. Okay, so now we have this data set. And it's got nothing in it, but that's okay. I need to mount this at a particular point, right? How does ZFS mounting work? Mount. Nope, that's a mount. All right. Where's Claude going to take us? Get mount point. Set. ZFS set mount point equals. Okay. Let's see what our current mount point is. You need to mount it. Yeah. Where do we want to put it? Probably /mount. Mount. Right? So, sudo ZFS. And what's the command for this? It's set mount point. Okay. And I'm just going to type it out myself to help me remember. Set mount point equals /mount/ let's call it small boy. And the pool name, small boy /data. Data. And we've got the sudo already set up, so this should work. Now, let's just jump into root so I don't have to think too much, or sudo everything all the time. And let's type in our password correctly, cd/mount. Great. And so now I can just touch file dot. Cool. So now we've got a file in it. What I want to do here is snapshot, just to test out snapshots. Big fan of snapshots. Big fan of the idea of snapshots. Okay. Press list. Now take a snapshot of the data set. ZFS snapshot. I'm going to need to sudo. Oh, no, I'm root this time. And it's going to be small boy. And we can do data at. Can I do something like this? I think so. What does this evaluate to? Is it this? Thursday. Oh, nope, that's not quite right. Would it be this? Date. How do I insert that? Also, I don't know why I think this is important right now, but it would be cool. I remember this. I made a ZFS snapshot script like last year. I'm trying to remember how I did it. I used date. I'm trying to also practice my bash a little bit. Convert a date to this would be nice. Convert a date specified as a Unix time step to the default format. No. Date plus %s. Excellent. Okay. So date plus %s gives me that. And so I think if I do data at date plus %s. Ha! That's what we wanted. Okay. The reason I wanted this is because now, if I just keep going, if I go ZFS snapshot small boy data at date plus %s, and then we do a ZFS snapshot list -t. No, ZFS snapshot -t list. Come on. Close. ZFS list -t snapshot. -t must be for type, right? So ZFS list, and if we do a help, it'll probably, I can close this. Tell me a bunch of things I can list, right? Okay. Either way. ZFS list -t for type snapshot. That's how I'm going to think of that. And now I've got this thing. with a date stamp. Tight. Awesome. Very cool. So that's some ZFS. We did some ZFS today. That's good. What are our next steps? Well, let's document this so that we don't forget what we just did. So what was the command for this? It was ZFS or zpool sudo. So first we figured out what our drives were with a list block devices, ls block. And then we did a sudo zpool create. And what was it? It was, let's do, it's not in this history. That's unfortunate. Sudo zpool create. I've got the memory of a goldfish. Create, right. And then it's name. And then type. So in this case, we did a mirror. And then we did /dev/sda/dev/sdb. Cool. I'm going to leave it like that. So that was the first thing we did. And then sudo zpool list worked. Awesome. The next thing we did was create a data set, which happened like this. Sudo ZFS create. Why do I keep going up like this? Like it's all of a sudden going to be in the history. Okay. Sudo ZFS create. We gave it a -p-o. We set compression on. And then it's pool/dataset. Great. And then you can do ZFS list. Sudo. Actually, what happens when I do a ZFS list now that we have multiple things in there? ZFS list. It gives me... Okay, so by default, it gives me pools and it gives me data sets. If I tell it type snapshot, it gives me this. It gives me snapshots. Okay. Awesome. Very fun. And then we create snapshot. Sudo ZFS. And it's just, is it just snapshot? Now that one's going to be there because, yeah. Snapshot. And then it's just zpool dataset at some unique identifier, right? And so in our case, for the unique identifier, we practiced a little bash and we gave it this. Nice. That's some ZFS. We're doing it. Are you guys bored yet? I'm having a blast. I am getting thirsty though, so I will be right back. You guys can have a chair stream while I get some water. Okay. May I ask for some example situations on why it's beneficial to have datasets instead of mounting the pool itself? I'm not 100% sure. I know that it's normal practice to create a dataset first. I think the pools... Excellent. I think the pools are treated like housing for datasets, and you should have datasets. Like they're just a separate entity. But I'm not too sure. We can do a... He's abandoned the stream. Anarchy, rm-rf the stream. We can ask Claude real quick and what it thinks. It won't, usual caveats apply. With ZFS, why do we not just mount the pool? What purpose does a dataset serve? I don't think you can snapshot entire pools. I think you need datasets to do things. Granular management. Each dataset can have its own properties, compression, snapshots, quotas, blah, blah, blah. If you just use the pool root, you get one monolithic file system with uniform settings. Okay, so granularity. That's cool. You can set maximum sizes for datasets. That's cool. And you can do independent snapshots. Each dataset can have its own snapshot, schedule, and retention. Okay. Datasets create hierarchical namespace. Inheritance and flexibility. Child datasets inherit parent properties. Cool. Without datasets, if you want to back up only user data, not temp files, apply different snapshots, set quotas, encrypt, you'd need separate pools, which is wasteful and inflexible. You can snapshot the pool, yes. Oh, you can snapshot the pool. Interesting. Yeah, so I guess it's just about having more control. You can create multiple multiple data sets for a single pool, and the pool is more closely tied to actual devices. So I guess you get more flexibility per set of hard drives. So I would assume that. Okay. Let's try out NFS. Let's try out NFS. Not mail server. Can I? Okay. Good documentation to deploy. Here's what the Systems Administrator Handbook says. Good documentation to deploy NFS v4 is rather scarce. Here are some pointers with content of varying quality, but that should at least give some hints on what should be done. So we've got Ubuntu, and we've got Linux from scratch. Man, people just don't do this, I guess, very often. Well, let's start here. The NFS server is part of the Linux kernel. Yep. If the NFS server is to be run automatically on boot, the NFS kernel server package should be installed. It contains the relevant startup scripts. Okay, so we can maybe start by apt installing NFS kernel server. Yeah, all right, let's do that. And install NFS server kernel. Let's start there. Sudo apt install NFS. NFS common server. Yeah. Okay, so we'll install NFS common as well. Thanks, Plus. Okay, and we're going to add NFS common to this. Okay, looks like that is already set. Cool. The NFS server configuration files are at /etc exports and /etc exports.d. Lists the directories that are made available over the network. For each NFS share, only the given list of machines is granted access. More fine-grained access control can be obtained with a few options. Okay, note that with NFS v4, all exported directories must be part of a single hierarchy, and that the root directory of that hierarchy must be exported and identified with the option fsid equals 0. No, fs for file system ID. There we go. FSID or fsroot. Okay, directories are made available as read-only by default, RO. The RW option allows read-write access. NFS clients typically connect from a port restricted to root. This restriction can be lifted by the insecure option. Okay. In /etc exports, add a line like this, /mount smallboy client IP, RW, so read-write, sync, no subtree check. Okay. I'm just going to read through so that I understand exactly what that's doing. By default, the server only answers an NFS query when the current disk operation is complete. Sync option. This can be disabled with async. Asynchronous writes increase performance a bit, but they decrease reliability since there is a data loss risk in case of the server crashing between the acknowledgement of the write and the actual write on the disk. Since the default value changed recently, okay. In order to not give root access to the file system to In order to not give root access to the file system to any NFS client, all queries appearing to come from a root user are considered by the server as coming from the nobody user. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So once we edit these, the NFS server must be restarted with export FS. We're going to go the system control way. Can also just be a star. Okay, cool. I'm going to do it by subnet, I think is what I'm going to do for that. So, and we're going to practice our sed because I want to get good at that. All right, so we know, let's see what's in there first for now. Cool. NFS-v2, NFS-v4. So it's the directory. What is this formatting? Okay, hold on. Machine. Why is it? All right, I'm not sure. We're going to figure it out. So it's sed-I. No, that's going to do a replace. I don't want to do a replace. I can just pipe it in or T it. When do I use T versus just piping something? I think we can do like this. Echo. And then we're going to go the directory to the share. So it's mount. And then it's going to be smallboy /data. Okay. Strong start. Strong start. We're getting there. And then I need my subnets. So if I check these guys, yeah, we should be able to do 10.88.111 .star. Is that going to work? What do they do? No. Such as, can I do 0.24? That seems like it would work. Okay. And then options. And then we're going to do read write, sync, fsid, fsid. There we go. I'm going to say root so that I can remember it. And then what are our other options? No sub tree check. That one I don't know. Do we have this? No sub? I'm just going to trust plus on that one. Okay. And then I think we can T this into /etc /exports. Cat. Did that work? I don't think that worked. Streaming this to my outdoor projector in my backyard. My neighbors love me. That sounds like a great time. Wait, did it work? Did it? Okay, so it didn't append. Is there a flag for T for append? There is. It's -A. -A for append. That makes sense. So I just overwrote the file. Luckily, it was only full of examples. Would have loved to not clear out all those examples, but that's what we did. So that's super cool. /etc exports. Okay, awesome. I think this looks about right. Did work and would have been a place to use. Okay, wait. Hold on. Let's try it again. Because I'm trying to remember this. So, did work and would have been a place to use that. How would I... Oh, wait, but I thought that didn't work with pipes. What am I misunderstanding there? I'm going to try it, like... What am I misunderstanding? Okay, we'll revisit that a different time. I will figure out my bashisms. I have a book on it. I'll spend some time reading at some point. Either way, we now have what looks like the correct root for this data set as an NFS share at the cat. So before this, I did this. I see. So I could have done this. This won't cause any problems because it's just going to overwrite that. And then I can do... okay, there we go. Nice. Thank you. Because etc export was the last arg, the last command on the... okay, yeah, cool. So for those of you who don't know, I'm practicing my bash. And this one has come up in the past. Plus has brought it up. It grabs the last argument or like, I don't know, sort of substring and uses it here. It's kind of cool. Little shortcut. Would have been awesome, especially if this was like really long. Okay. So basically we've got this NFS share. Now I'm going to go the system control route, but first let's write down what we did. So we added the share in /etc/exports. Cool. And the command we used, I'm going to type it out again so that I can start to remember these, was echo. And first it's the directory. So /mount/ sorry guys, I haven't eaten in a while. My brain's slowing down. Data. Okay, so we did this. And then we got our subnet 0. And yeah, it's always /. And then we did a read write. We did sync because async stuff makes it less data integrity e. We need FSID to be set to root. And then the last one was the one that I don't know yet. No subtree check. Cool. Now, we then teed that. We're going to do a -a this time around into /etc/exports. Okay, great. Now we're going to do a restart NFS server thingy. No, service. Start using official names of things so that you will remember them. That's what we're doing. So we're going to do a system control start NFS kernel server. Okay, great. Okay, so let's check this again. The NFS server must be restarted with either of the following commands. So it looks like we don't have to do both. I'm going to see what happens if we don't do both. I can see, definitely, I can see doing both, given that sometimes things just don't work properly, and doing both kind of makes sure. But let's see what happens if we do this. Okay, so we're going to start it. We're going to enable it because that'll make it so that the service starts every time the machine is rebooted, right? Wait. Yes. Nope, that's correct. Okay. And now let's try that. Show mount -e, and this is localhost. Well, that didn't work. So let's try export fs and do the whole thing again. export fs-ra. That's interesting. No such file or directory. There isn't. Is there? I didn't make the directory. So if I go ZFS list, data exists. Ah, your mount point is right there. There is no data. Okay. That is a weird, inconsistent naming, and I've definitely screwed myself a little with that. Luckily, this is the test, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we can fix this with this guy. I'm gonna go like that. I could just adjust the mount point of data, but yeah. Nope. Yep. Wait. I need to grab the backticks. There we go. And we're going to go do this. And we're not going to dash A, actually. We're going to go Control E for the end. Oh, set is a way better way to do it. Yes. Now we're thinking with Unix. Okay, S/data. And that's empty. /etc/exports. Much better. Why didn't you like me? That's why. Whoops. There we go. Better. Okay. So that's interesting, actually. One of the reasons to use export FS is that it warned me when something was wrong, right? When we just ran system control, it was like, no problems, whatever, and then nothing worked. But when we ran export FS, failed to stat, no such file or directory. So it's well worth running export FS just to get those errors. Cool. And what's the last step? It was show mount. Show mount -E. Now let's ask ourselves, what does -E? What does that do? Man show mount. -E. Exports. Show the NFS server's exports list. Okay, cool. So otherwise, show mounts shows all mounted devices. That would make sense, right? that would make sense. What was the next part? And then we said for local host. I wonder if that's necessary. Let's try it. It's not cool. Maybe. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, cool. So that shows mounts. And let's... Cool. So, that's running. Cool. Do I need to do anything for the FS tab on the server? Probably not. We'll find out later. As with other file systems, integrating an NFS... Sorry. Our next step is to get this working on this Arch Linux box that I'm running. That would be cool if we could do that. So let's see if we can figure it out. Since file systems... Okay. Integrating an NFS share into the system hierarchy requires mounting and the NFS common package. Okay. So we're going to do sudo pacman -s. I'm going to search for it first. So there's NFS utils. So I'm going to guess it's this for Arch. This is one of those situations where I would really love to be on Debian in both situations to keep things consistent in my head. I don't think this is going to be necessary because we're not doing this at like the init RAM FS level. We're doing this like it's fine if this happens after boot happens. So NFS utils is probably the way. Let's use the Arch Linux pages wiki. Have a friend / colleague who runs all her servers on Arch, which I think is pretty freaking awesome. Like that's I don't have the stomach for it, but that's pretty cool. Okay. I'm not looking for server. Sudo pacman-sy NFS utils. Cool. So that, hey now. Probably just do this. Cool. Okay. Okay, we'll figure out time synchronization stuff later. Time sync? We're not starting the server, we're acting as a client. NFS client.target. Need to start and enable NFS client.target. So it's probably sudo system control. Start NFS client.target. Okay, sudo system control enable NFS client.target. Great. Let's do server setup. Why am I spamming K when I can use good Vim motions? Install packages. Okay, I will fix spelling later. Maybe with a sed. Client setup. Okay. So this is Arch. We'll figure that out later. How that would work on other systems, I'm sure it's not too hard. Oh, I don't use relative. I do prefer non-relative numbers. Anyways, while I'm working on this, how's everybody doing? How's the stream going so far? So we've started and we've enabled these, right? So we did a install packages. We did a sudo pacman-s NFS utils, right? And then we did start and enable NFS utils service sudo system control start and it was NFS client.target. Whoops. Enable. Awesome. We'll do FS tab. Is that file system table? Sounds about right. We'll do it that way after. I want to do a manual mount first to see how it works. So cool. That's running. Show mount -e server name. It's been great. I have the system running for a year, but I clearly know way less than you, so there is some learning happening here for both of us. Oh, I don't know if you know less than me. I think I'm learning on the fly. My Wi-Fi here still sucks, but I guess it sucks even more for all the others on my AP. Long live quality of service and default passwords. That's hilarious. That's good. Okay. Where was I? What's the name of this server? Probably going to go with this. Because I don't really... I'll set up DNS stuff at some point. I think that would be super cool. But for now, I guess we're just going by IP. I would love to do that. Okay. Yes! Woo! Look at that. It shows up. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Check. NFS mounts are exporting and viewable. It's 29? Yeah. Cool. Okay. Okay. What do we got? What's next? I guess we mount it, right? That would be like, that would be the cool thing to do. Okay. So where should I put this? I guess just under mount, right? So sudo mount server name 10.88.111.29. Can you imagine doing this in IPv6? I can't. For NFS v4, mount the root NFS directory and look around for available mounts. Okay. And that's why we set in NFS v4 on the server FSID equals root. Cool. Time to get a long Ethernet cable. / mount point on client. Oh, first let's make something. So, do we have anything there? Okay. Cool. -p /mount / NAS. Oh, by the way, the NAS is named NAST. Whoops. And I think I'm funny. Come on. Okay. So let's do mount 10.8.111.29 root / mount NAST sudo. Access denied. Access denied by server. Okay, cool. So so that's interesting. Maybe my subnet ID thing isn't working. Let's find out. So let's hop back to our server. And it was in vim /etc /exports. We're here, right? It didn't like this. Why? That seems correct to me. So mount. No, it's the path there. Okay. For some reason, okay, fair enough. Mount small boy data. File directory. I think it's not data. Okay. Reason given by server, no such file or directory. Access denied by server while mounting. Okay. Okay. The permission denied was because you tried to mount the remote file system as the remote file system root. You still export data, have not restarted there. Okay, let's see. The permission denied was because you tried to mount the remote file system root. So let's try that. I didn't update, I think. All right. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here. Let's take a look. Directories are made available as read-only. In order to not give root access to the file system to any NFS client, all queries appearing to come... Yeah, nope. I don't think so. Fair enough. Okay, let's take a look. Let me see if I can turn up the gain a little bit on this. We'll take it from there. All right, how's that? Am I clipping now? Are we okay? All right, so let's try this again. Export fs-ra. Huh. On the servers. That's better. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. What are we doing wrong? Because we're not getting the... It's just that sometimes you're off to the side of the mic, so the volume is a bit low. Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of like do this a lot. So it would probably be best if I get something that captures the area a little bit more. One day. Oh, one thing I want to do while I sort of ponder what the heck I've done here is if you're new to the stream and the channel, we have a Discord. And it would be awesome if you joined us. No hard feelings if you don't, but it would be cool. Okay. Back to this. Now my show mount isn't popping up either. So here we are. And data now exists. When I did an export FS, nothing showed up. When I did a show mount -e, okay, no, that's showing up. Okay. And if I do a show mount -e, we get that. Now, when I try to mount, -t, what do we get? Failed. Okay. Oops. Huh. Interesting. Does mount nasty exist? I'm going to be pissed if it doesn't. Yes. Okay. That exists. That exists. But our problem's over here, right? It thinks that this doesn't exist. But when we do a show mount, right? We see it. We see it. Oh, you still have /data in the mount path. Okay. I think I tried it both ways, but let's try this. And I'm still getting... Remove the /data in your line and everything's fine. In here? Or... Here, let's just pop that up there, right? So we're getting this. It doesn't seem to think that exists. But why wouldn't it, right? Like, why wouldn't it when showment dash, oops, shows us that it's there? I don't see a typo. All right, it's vibe time. Let's take a look. Oh, great AI. What's going on? Okay, check if the path actually, maybe the trailing slash in the Etsy exports. Okay, that crossed my mind. Let's try it. And then we're going to do an export fs -ra. Yeah, and then we'll restart the thing. System control start fs kernel server. How's Claude for this kind of troubleshooting? I don't know. I don't know yet. I guess we'll find out. It's like okay. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, as you can see, Claude not super helpful here. So we restarted. We didn't export FS. I noticed ChatGPT is so much better in the past 6 months. Oh, interesting. Let's try this again. It's showing up. Oh. Okay, weird. Huh. Okay. Okay. This is kind of what I would... Okay, this is interesting. This is what I was expecting. So when I don't give it the full file path, right, on the server, what it's doing is saying the root the root file system ID is actually... let's bring this up. Here. So we've said /mount/smallboy is the root file system ID for NFS, for this share, I guess. So when I tell it this, like just the root, it says it grabs that. Is that correct? I feel like that's correct. Why did it fix itself? So let's... Where were we? I think the trailing slash... Yeah, the FSID root sets an offset. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Sorry, looks like I'm clipping a little bit. I need to find a way to boost my audio without also clipping. So the root, the FSID thing and the trailing slash together were, I think, the issue. Cool. Okay, awesome. Let's make sure in this we have that fixed. So it's actually this. Okay. So we did it, right? Now if I go cd/mount, this clipping isn't noticeable. Oh, interesting. Okay, thanks. Let's edit file. Changing read-only file. Okay. Is it a sudo issue or is it because I haven't opened it? Yeah, okay. So we need to adjust our mount to read-write. What line did we use for mount? We did this. Cool. And then if it's occasional clipping, you can have a limiter plugin. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look into that for sure. You guys are like the most helpful chat of all time. I've seen other chats, you know? I've seen other chats. I don't spend a lot of time watching streams, but I've seen some other chats, and it's like, they're not as nice, man. You guys are great. Okay, so let's check manual mounting. It's set to read-write. What desktop environment is this? This is Arch Linux with Hyperland, but it's specifically Omarchy. Every time somebody asks, by the way, I will rant about Omarchy because it's awesome. It's super fun to use. I really like Hyperland, but I don't like configuring it, and Omarchy sets it all up for you really nicely. I use Arch, by the way. I feel like you get no credit for using Arch if you use the Arch installer. You know? Honestly, installing Debian with like the DE bootstrap way was harder. Anyways. And also, I feel like you get way more credit these days for using Nix. Like, that's what the cool kids are into. Okay. So, what's our issue? Currently, we can't read-write. Why? From the Debian handbook, it's doing this. Do you use a filter to hide your beard? I was so confused for a second, then I went, ah. Yeah, no, I'm just Asian, so I can't grow a beard. Okay, so what is it? Umount? TLD or umount. Sudo umount path to the mounted directory /mount/nast. Device is busy. Is it busy because I'm in it? Yes, it is. Okay. Okay. Let's try this again. So now we've got this mount. Now let's do it from scratch. Sudo mount -t and nfs4-o. Read write. I don't know what the no swid is for. What would that do? User ID. No, but what's the S? Set? The no swid option is a protection measure that wipes any set UID or set group ID bit from the programs stored on the share. Okay. No swid. Now, 10.88.111.29 to the root /mount as t. Great. Still getting a read-only file. Okay, interesting. Let's pop over to our server. That's pretty clearly read-write. Ignores chmod plus s executables. Chmod plus s executables. Oh, okay. Huh. You seem really nice, by the way. I was doing a live earlier today myself for people asking about... Oh, thank you, Paul. Really appreciate that. I think that's the first time anyone's ever boosted or whatever it's called on YouTube. Super cool. How do I acknowledge that? I was doing a live earlier today myself for people asking about using Linux for audio music and video production. That's really cool. I'm gonna pin that. People should check that out. That'd be cool. Oh my god. Sorry. Chat is doing the thing. It's the first time I've used it. I really appreciate it. Thank you. The mount did not keep you from writing. The normal chmod/user ID did. Oh, okay. I see. So I don't have ownership? Is that what that is? So... what is it? LAG for this? Okay. And here's an opportunity for me to learn some Linux permission stuff. Definitely going down the NFS route, manually building this, it has been super learny. I'm getting a lot here. Give the user who owns a file the right to execute it. Okay, no. Does the client user have permissions on the dir? Probably not. Try sudo on the client. Probably works. Sudo on the client. Okay. So when I do this, it opens in read-only mode. Can I do... No, let's try it. Yeah. So somewhere I'm lacking permissions. How do I fix that? How do I fix that? What have we tried so far? We've tried this no swid. That didn't do it. If the NFS share is only meant to store documents, another recommendation is no exec. Okay, we don't need to do that. Note that on the server, the shared directory is below the NFS v4 root export /export/ shared. It is not a top level directory. Hello. Sorry, I have to leave now to work out. I joined your Discord server. Ah, glad to have you. Have a good workout. It's nice to meet you. And I'll make sure to subscribe to your channel as well. Check out mount. Check mount on the client. If it is not read write, mount -o remount read write. Mount point. Okay. Check mount on the client if it is not read write. So okay, so I'm here. Okay, so it looks like we've got read-write on permissions. Is that correct? For root, I'm not as... Let's just do this for now. Okay. That looks appropriate. And it's missing directory. What are the... Okay. I meant the command mount. It lists mounted file systems. Okay. Oops. Mount. Dash. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Files. Okay. Oops. Let's try to make sense of this. Let's go ahead. This looks correct. This looks correct. Right? We're seeing read-write. We're seeing no swid. Okay. Let's try something else. Test up. Yep, can't do that. All right, we're going to do a quick... It is read-write, so no error on the client side. Mounting-wise, it seems. Yeah. And we've got it here read-write as well. So what could be going on? Is this an AppArmor issue? You brought that up earlier. I'm going to try a little bit of everything. Could be this. Could be no root squash. Let's find out. The no root squash option, which disables this behavior. Okay. In order to not give root access to the file system to any NFS client, all queries appearing to come from a root user are considered by the server as coming from the nobody user. This behavior, AppArmor would disallow some network access on things like Samba, should not interfere here. This behavior corresponds to the root squash option and is enabled by default. The no root squash option, which disables this behavior, is risky and should only be used in controlled environments. I think it's this. I think it's this. Because, yeah. Okay. Let's try it. Anyone in chat ever installed any Linux distro on a Mac with T2 security chip? Paul, do I have the video for you? Sorry. Yeah, I think we're missing no root squash. Yeah, I think that's it. And also, we'll move this over to serve. Oh, we'll symlink it to /serve/share. I think that'll make more sense. Yeah, Paul. So I tried out Arch Linux on the T2 Max, and I would not recommend that. I have heard much better things about CachyOS on the T2 Max, because it ships with some of the necessary firmware and things like that, I think. So take a look at those. I am thinking about making a little video on updating, seeing if CachyOS works better on that T2 Mac, because, yeah, it was a shit show. Okay, let's get back to this, which was, right, we've exported it correctly. We're going to, I think Plus pointed out that we can just refresh the remount. That might work. I'm not sure exactly if that'll pick it up the way that I want it to. We're going to umount it, /mount/NAS T. Device is busy. Device is busy where? Sudo umount. Okay. All right. I think the previous user was in it. Okay. Now we're going to try this again. We're going to do sudo mount. Whoops. Cool. Oh, cool. CachyOS plus Omarchi Hyperland. You were in the dir again. Yeah, that was it. I haven't got... I want to migrate this Arch Linux system to Cachy, because you can't... I tried setting up Omarchi on a Cachy install, and that did not go well, because the NVIDIA drivers were conflicting, and then Omarchi just kind of bailed. But maybe I can migrate after. I'll definitely check it out. I have like 8 2012 MacBooks lying around, and while Linux works, they're just clunky machines. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so we're in here. Let's try it. Sudo file.md. Vim file.md. Haha! Okay, so what was our problem? It was no squash fs, right? It was here. No root squash. No root squash. What was the problem? No root squash because on the server, the exported file system was on root. There we go, was on root. And by default, we don't allow write operations by clients on root. So that's cool. That's really good to know. I'm sure that will come up at some point, like during the LFCS exam, right? So okay, cool. I'm really happy about that. What's left? What do we want to wrap up with today? I think the last thing I want to do is add this to fstab, and then maybe make a symlink to make it reasonable, right? Also, we're missing some new flags we added. We got these. Cool. Okay, awesome. Set up fstab on client. Let's use the Arch stuff. Mount using /etc/file system table, fstab. Defaults time, retrans 5. Oh, you can use systemd for this. I wonder what the benefit is. Not sure if symlinks work for exports. Might need mounting the dataset there. Okay. I guess we'll find out. Is there any benefit for using systemd here? As systemd unit, create a new .mount file. Don't want to do it that way. Wow, there are a lot of ways to mount. There are a lot of ways. Okay. We're going to go with using etc fstab with systemd. That's going to be our approach. And then we're going to practice echoing. Okay. How do I want to do this? I mean, I know I can jump in. Well, I don't want to blow up my fstab. That would be, how we say, not good. The usual systemd question. It's kind of like systemd feels like the Apple ecosystem in that the more systemd you use, the better systemd is to use, but then you used systemd. That's kind of the way I think about it. Okay. Let's use some tabs here. /mount /nas t nfs. And what do you have configured? Users, no auto. Oops, typo. No auto defaults. And then I'm just going to use some of these Arch defaults just in case. Timo equals 900. Retrans equals 5. Okay. Well, I can't actually reboot and check that because I'm streaming on this machine. So I guess I'll let you know how that works next stream. But this has been very successful. It was one of the more challenging streams. conceal level equals 0. Okay, lazy vim is pretty good, but I really don't like. Sorry. There we go. I will get my thought soon. I'm not going to be able to do this, am I? Okay. Cat. Give me 1 second, guys. Cool. Okay. I really like lazy vim. This I really dislike. So basically, here, I'm going to do a side-by-side. If I open Vim and I want to enter a command, I hit colon, and in the bottom left corner, I can do commands, right? EX, stuff, right? Over here, they're using Noise, N-O, this plugin, and it brings my command line up to the top, which retrains this muscle memory I've developed with Vim over the last, almost 10 years. It upsets me. I have it on no auto and users to let any user mount it, but don't auto mount it. I want to auto mount it. So let's see, FS tab. So let's go ahead and remove that and remove it from our docs. Cool. And that's that. Okay, cool. So let's wrap up this stream then. So 1 second. We're going to we'll talk a little bit and about some things happening on the channel. And then we'll call it a day. Okay. So what's going on recently? The Discord has been fun. If you're new and you use Discord, we enjoy hanging out there. I do my best to help people and also pester them with my ideas. It's also a good way to reach me if you have any video ideas. Thanks, Tim. And reach these cool folks. So it's been super fun talking with all of you, both on stream and during the Discord. Both during stream and on the Discord. There we go. I found my words. So if you'd like to be a part of that, you're more than welcome to. Of course, no obligation. Other than that, we hit 2,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. Check this out. That's a big number. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you all for being a part of that. That's really cool. What else? I've added this thing, which is memberships. They are basically a way that you can support the channel a little bit. It's like a monthly thing. There are next to no benefits other than you get a badge that says, hey, I support the channel. And my goal with this is if you're interested, and don't feel any pressure whatsoever, but if you are, you can support, and I'll put that money towards home lab gear and things like that we can build on stream. So I'm launching that softly. Again, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. I'm just throwing it out there to help fund things like, hold on, things like this little screen that I use for home lab devices and things that sort of help me make the stream good. So that's all there is to it. Thanks all so much for coming. I'll catch you in the next one. See y'all later.